In this video, I want to talk about the one TED Talk you should watch today if either you're at a crossroads in your life or you're thinking about retirement. Welcome to What Happens Next. Welcome back to the What Happens Next channel, and I've been thinking about TED Talks because we live in an environment now where we can get all of this amazing knowledge and information available. Filtering it out is a different thing, and getting the right content is a bit more of a challenge. But we live in a world where really good quality information and knowledge is available if we need to find it. And for me, one of the elements that I've learned a lot from over the years is the TED Talk. You know, these conferences where they get a wide range of speakers to come up, share their perspective in about 20 minutes, and then publish all of this amazing stuff out free to the world. You can find it at TED.com, but I normally watch it on YouTube, which is probably why you're here as well. But the interesting thing when I'm thinking about the work we're doing with What Happens Next is what TED Talk best personifies the challenges you're facing at the minute when you're at that crossroads in your life. If this is the first time to What Happens Next, welcome. If you're coming back after watching a couple of our videos, thank you. We really appreciate it. Let me do a bit of an explanation about what the What Happens Next channel is. We're the channel designed to talk about some of the challenges that people at a crossroads in their life, typically in their 50s and 60s, face when they're thinking about what happens next. Now, that used to be called retirement, and maybe for some of you it still is. But interestingly, my experience with working with my clients, speaking to guests on this channel, and just reading, writing, and understanding a lot more about the subject, is for a lot of us, we're thinking about the next stage of our lives in a slightly different way, because the generation before, the couple of generations before, did their 40 years in a factory or an office and then stopped. Actually, for many of us, we're thinking about the next stage in a bit more of a nuanced way, and thinking about whether we stop work or include work, whether we're going to be financially able to make changes in our life, but also with a bit more focus on well-being. You know, what makes us happy? What is a life well lived? And how do we construct that life well lived if we're at that crossroads in our lives? So what makes me qualified to talk about this? My name's Chris, and my day job is helping people financially work out whether they've accumulated enough wealth to move on to that next chapter of their life. So with our clients, I'm a chartered financial planner. With our clients, we talk about financial independence, financial well-being, what's the relationship between money and happiness, and how do we make sure that effectively we know what your number is in terms of how much is enough, and we understand if you're not there yet, what we need to do to get there. But the What Happens Next channel came out of a desire to look at some of the other factors we might want to consider when we're thinking about what's next. And one of those is what we do with our time. And the TED Talk that I'm going to talk about today is all about how we spend our time and what we might want to ask ourselves to make sure that time is well spent. But before I do that, I need to ask a favour. I love to help a lot more people with the What Happens Next channel, and I'd love for you to benefit as much as you can. The way that you can help me is like this video and subscribe, because by doing that, you're then allowing us to help people plan a more nuanced next stage of their life and think about some of the challenges they're facing as early as possible. So let's talk about this TED Talk. This TED Talk is by a guy I love. I've read his book. I've watched a lot of his content. and that is Professor Bill Burnett. Now, he's got a brilliant job title. He's the Executive Director at the Life Design Lab at Stanford University. And you can find the video. We'll put a link in the comments to watch the full TED Talk. And it's interesting because, as I said before, we have conversations about helping people achieve financial independence. But then what do they do with their time? How do you spend your time in a meaningful way that's going to improve your well-being for that next chapter of your life? And there's one question that in the TED Talk, Bill Burnett shares that I think is really, really powerful. Because what it allows you to do is really dig a bit deeper in understanding what's actually important to you. Now, again, watch the entire video. There's so much great stuff in that 20-minute clip. But the one question that I'd ask is, if you had all the money in the world and you knew no one would laugh, how would you spend your time? And the reason that I think that's such a brilliant question is because it removes the financial concerns, but also it removes that social anxiety we sometimes get about thinking, I really want to do that, but I don't know how other people are going to react. So for you, if you had all the money in the world and you knew no one would laugh and you're comfortable putting that in the comments, how would you spend your time? I would absolutely love to know. Now once you've answered that question, clearly there's a practical element. You need to make sure you understand what your money position is so you can actually take practical action towards achieving that financial independence. And you might want to, and this is something Bill Burnett talks about quite a lot, try some low-cost experiments towards this thing you want to do to see how it feels and see whether you really, really like it or not. And that's why it's such an interesting question for me and why I'd love the answer to it. For me, there's a few ways that what happens next and the work we're doing here can help you with that next stage. Firstly, we've got a quiz. That quiz helps you understand where you are from a well-being perspective today and gives you some tips about how you might be able to improve your well-being in the future when you're going through this fundamental change in your life. We've got a book coming out in 2025 and we'll put a link to the waiting list for the book in the notes below. But please like and subscribe to the channel so we can just do loads more videos like this, just sharing small tips that you can think about and you can make positive change in your life today to get ready for your what happens next. Thanks for watching and we'll see you next time on the channel.